Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S23 that just came out and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S10e and see which specific phone is the better one for you. Now, I love both these phones a lot, so if you want to pick up either one of these phones or some other phones I would recommend this year, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside, both these phones are a little tiny bit different, but they are also very similar as well. The Samsung Galaxy S10e, which came out in 2019, was supposed to be this somewhat smaller, I guess cheaper S10, but this was a very good phone that Samsung made back then. Now, with the S10e on the front, we're getting a 5.8-inch dynamic AMOLED display. Now, it's a 1080p panel, but it's in a fairly small footprint, especially compared to what 2019 was, but especially compared to now. The S23 is kind of considered a smaller phone nowadays, but this was actually a smaller phone back then. It was a hole punch display. Top left right corner, you had the FaceTime or the video camera, and it was a pretty good looking phone. Fingerprint sensor on the side right here. Micro SD card slot still on this phone. USB-C and a headphone jack on this phone too, which is honestly pretty insane. Now, with the Galaxy S23, on the other hand, you are getting a bigger 6.1-inch dynamic AMOLED display. So this is a bigger panel. It's definitely a better looking panel, I would say, as well, and you're getting a 120 Hz display on this specific phone. So I think that in and of itself is really cool. Having a phone like the S23, you're pretty much going to be future-proofed on the display front for quite a bit of time, and I think that in and of itself is a really cool thing the S23 has going for it. Now, on the rest of the bodies, I would still say both these phones look very, very similar. Again, there's not like a lot of crazy overlap or a lot of differences for the most part. There's a lot of overlap for sure. The power button and everything are on the other side of these phones, so they're kind of on opposite sides. Again, the S10e does have that micro SD card slot and headphone jack, which is honestly pretty insane. And on the back, they honestly do have pretty different setups as well. You probably wouldn't even think that these phones were related or from the same manufacturer. So with the S23, we have the camera in the top left corner with a frosted glass back. The Galaxy S10e has this standard glass back with a dual camera setup kind of in the middle. Now, believe it or not, I actually kind of prefer a little bit of having a little bit of a camera bump that covers the lenses. With the S10e, they kind of did that here, but with the S21, with the S20, and with the S22, they had an actual camera bump that covered up the lenses. Both of these are not like the first ones I would recommend, because if you drop these phones, the lenses can crack very, very easily. You have no idea. With the S20, with the S22, with the S21, those phones with the camera bumps, even though the S21 had a plastic back, I did actually kind of prefer that camera bump a little bit more. Now, both these phones have wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, which is really cool. And that kind of covers it up on the outside. Again, with both these phones, very, very good devices. I would say the S10e is a little bit more legendary because it was such a legendary phone when it first came out. But I would say in that standpoint, the S23 is probably the better one, but the S10e still kind of held its own. Now, when when you kind of look at it in terms of the battery life, software longevity, that type of stuff, with a phone like the S10e, it's not really going to be supported with software that much longer. I think it got One UI 4 and then that was it. It did not get One UI 5, but I still think One UI 4 is a pretty decent version of software. Like, it's not that outdated. But when compared to something like the Galaxy S23, I mean, this phone is just now getting started with software support. So this device, I mean, you still have a completely long-lasting device on this type of phone, which is really cool. And that is something that I keep looking back at something like the S23. So you're definitely going to be getting, I would say, a longer-lasting phone from the S23 than from something like the Galaxy S10e. So that kind of covers it up there as well. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both these phones. The Galaxy S23 has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside with 8 gigabytes of RAM, where the Galaxy S10e has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 chipset with 6 gigs of RAM on the base model. It does go up to 8, but this one has 6. So let's go and see which one's a faster phone between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, so let us get into it. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. Okay, kind of the same thing, not that big of a difference there. Let's do their cameras, 3, 2, 1. Wow, almost kind of the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of similarity there. Let's go and take a photo. And I think the S23 was the faster one there. Let's go and open up that photo. I messed that one up completely, so we won't go by that one. Let's go and hop out of here. Let's go into their Play Stores, 3, 2, 1. And of course, we have to log in here, so we'll just go and skip that out of that one. We do have some of these third-party applications we can go and test out. Let's do Twitter, 3, 2, 1. Kind of the same thing, although we did get a little bit of a different panel on this one. Let's try Snapchat, 3, 2, 1. Okay, kind of the same thing there too. Let's try another app. We can try Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. Okay, S23 clearly was the faster one there. Now I will go and open up this other panel under Game Launcher, and since we have to do it this way, I don't know why it's so annoying. Let's go and try Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Now I will keep an eye out if I have to hop out of any panels, but it doesn't look like it. Now the S10e was faster here, could be for a few things. This is on an older version of the application, I think. So that could always happen. This is also on One UI 4, this is on One UI 5. Could be something there, but I would definitely say the Galaxy S10e was the faster one in that specific standpoint. We can try something like Snake First Blocks, 3, 2, 1. Okay, S10e again is the faster one here. That is very, very interesting. My S10 wasn't faster than this phone, so it's interesting that this one is the faster one here. Could be because of some software optimizations, I have no idea. But that's still a very, very interesting thing. I must have clicked into a random game, so we'll hop out of this one. Let's go back into here. Let's try the original Temple Run, 3, 2, 1. And the S23 was definitely the faster one there. So maybe we're starting to see something like, maybe for certain games it's faster, but I think for a majority of the games, they're probably going to be faster on something like a Galaxy S23 stack. Now with a game like this as well, I mean, it's a pretty basic game. There's not anything super crazy. And the S23 again was the faster one there. Going back into here, let's see if we can get one more in. I would like to do Subway Surfers, but that game is not even on this device. And Genshin Impact is another massive game, but it doesn't look like we have it here either. So I think overall, when it comes down to it, a phone like the Galaxy S23 is definitely going to be giving you a faster overall experience, and I think that's a great thing. Having a phone like the S23 is awesome, but the S10e is still kind of fast. Like it still competes kind of well against an S23. Although clearly the S23 is the winner, it's going to be a faster phone overall. I think the S10e still kind of held its own. So from that perspective, that kind of covers it up there. Now in the camera department, like I mentioned before, with a phone like the Galaxy S23, you are getting the overall faster phone for a fact. I mean, this is going to be the better phone in pretty much every single area. But the S10e's camera, from all those years and years of camera comparisons and whatnot, the S10e ranked fairly well, which I was really happy about. And even from me testing it, I mean, it did pretty good. You have 4K on the 4K at 60 on the back and the front of both these phones, but the S23 does have 8K capability, which is honestly pretty amazing. Now, in that camera department, what I'll definitely tell you is with a phone like this, I mean, it's a very good camera. It's very good for its age. You have 8x zoom, which is honestly more than what a lot of phones have nowadays. You have 0.5x zoom, which is very interesting considering some phones can only do 0.6x. And you have live focus, you have live focus video, which was a really cool feature. I really like that one. You have hyperlapse on here video, and under more, you have a few more options here too, which is really cool. So the Galaxy S10e has a very, very capable camera, and I always like that camera for sure. With the S23, this is also a very solid lens. Does it get better than this? Yeah, but this is still a very good camera nonetheless. With this type of phone, I mean, you're getting, 8K capability on the back. You're getting 0.6x zoom, which is interesting. The S10e can do more. You're getting 30x zoom though, which is really cool. And overall, it's a very, very good camera. You have portrait mode right here. You have video mode. You have portrait video. You have this more option, which shows you a lot more things like hyperlapse, director's view, pro video. Like this is a very solid camera. And this is probably a better camera overall than the Galaxy S10e, but I still like the S10e for sure. So when it kind of comes down to what I'll definitely tell you is the Galaxy S23 is, I think, the better phone in every single area. You're going to be getting better battery life, better performance, better cameras, longevity. Like this is the phone for you if you want to go and pick up a phone. But the S10e, I will still say, handled pretty well. The only thing I don't like about the S10e is that it's done getting software support. But I would say other than that, I wouldn't even get this phone because of that. But at the very least, get something like S20 and S21, something that's still supported with software. And FE, S20 FE, that'd be a great choice too. But I like the S10e, and I think it held up very well in this comparison. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.